Listen to this quick clip from Alex Karp.
84% of the top 50 startup of tech people now. This is basically pre-AIP, pre-AI. What do you think is going to happen? Like, my company is worth between 35 and 40 billion dollars. I'm pretty optimistic we're going to continue to grow and get bigger. Okay, at 60 billion dollars, you are on that list. Okay, it's very likely we'll be on that list. Like, any one of the products we built would be the #1 startup in Germany. Any one of them. We have 5. Our least successful product would be, so it's like any.
There we go. Alex Karp making some bullish statements about Palantir, especially as we see tech stocks, the S&P 500 closing at a record high today, and PLTR having a nice jump, possibly going to be assuming a very important support level to test that next resistance zone in the near future. Now, before we get too far, if you're new to the channel, hit that like button. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe for daily videos. And of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just collecting all the data and dispatching it to you. Now, what we talk about where Palantir is right now, what Alex Karp says where Palantir is right now, is between that 35 to a $45 billion company. And Palantir is doing a good job holding this consolidation zone. And as you can see, a support zone here at about 1610s and consolidating here in the 16s. What we see from the actual general market today is the S&P hitting these record highs as these tech stocks are continuing to soar. And as we see this as a result, we're seeing strong retail sales data and an upbeat reading on consumer sentiment. This is seeing investors that are actually pushing out expectation for the Fed to not make interest rate cuts in March, but actually delay those until May. However, with the strong consumer spending report that we are seeing, we're continuing to see a lot of buying pressure and momentum coming into these tech stocks. Now, in addition to that, Palantir is up about 2.3%. You can see big green wick candle bars that are being created and we're creating in today's trading session. Come Monday here, if this same general sentiment continues to continue, we could see Palantir reassuming this really critical level of support at the 17s. What's next for that, and when Palantir was previously in the 17s, it had a pretty large and quick push back to that $20 level of resistance. Now, if we bring that up, that $20 level of resistance is a psychological and a physiological resistance zone that we've talked about in the past. And it recently was able to surpass that for just a few trading sessions, getting up here to its last 52-week year-to-date high at 2185. Now, Palantir at about that 60 billion that Alex Karp says that it could easily go to. What he sees, let's check back here later. That's what he always says. Come and see what Palantir is going to be worth later in the year or next year or the year after. And it's been continued to be valued higher than what he once said. So up into the 60 billions, that's definitely Palantir in the mid 20s. And with the next earnings expectations that have been pushed up, we've talked about this in previous videos at February 5th here now. It was originally February 13th. Earnings per share predicted at 8 cents, revenue at 602 million, a big bullish indicator that we are seeing for PLTR that is trading along with the momentum of a lot of bullishness coming into these tech stocks is the earnings per share revisions that is up 16 times in the last 90 days. In addition, if we take a look really quickly here at the short interest for Palantir Technologies, the actual short percent of the float, which is the percent of that of the shares that are outstanding or that are shorted compared to the shares that are outstanding that are available for trade, that has actually fallen 6.65% since its last report. And the company reported here that it has 101 million shares sold short, which is about 5.33% of all of the shares that are available for trading, the outstanding shares. So leading into the next question, is Palantir stock a buy now? Of course, that's for your own basically assessment and for your own research that needs to be conducted to make that decision. I'm just a guy on YouTube collecting all the data, like I said, and dispatching it to you. But one thing that we are seeing with the data and what the news is telling us about Palantir is that its profitability has been doing well. And we have that fourth quarter of GAAP profitability, of course, which entails that the S&P 500 inclusion could happen sometime this year. We don't know. Also, in addition, what we've seen with Palantir is that it's becoming less reliant on governmental contracts. And personally, this is what's been really keeping me bullish on PLTR, actually being a very competitive AI stock and having a big player in the AI game. Now Palantir is starting to diversify its clientele base into the private sector. And we've seen this in 2023 with the rollout of AIP and the AIP bootcamp, and we've seen the actual proof in the numbers that have been recorded and reported in Q3. We saw customer count that grew, we saw commercial revenue that grew, all on a commercial perspective year over year and quarter over quarter. Now, in addition, next earnings, I think, is going to be a large trend and a correlator that we're going to see how the evolution of AIP is playing out, and is the actual reports that we're seeing in the news as we're seeing extensions and new types of contracts, collaborations, partnerships with a lot of these different private companies and different types of industrial standards rather than just like the governmental contracts. Is this actually playing out in the actual reports? This is happening behind the scenes. This is why in less than a month, in a few weeks here from now, this is going to be a very large catalyst for the potential success of Palantir technology and for the future of it. Alex Karp is staying bullish on it. Data Dispatch, I've been bullish on it. However, if things are to flip the other way, if we see something about Palantir, say something changes with guidance, say they miss earnings, things aren't in line or something like that, we could see Palantir come down the other way. That is entirely possible. Palantir typically has liked to trade in its trading history between the 13s and the 15s. Around its 200-day moving average is still around that 15. So trading here, consolidation here, for people that are taking a bullish perspective on the long term for Palantir, that could be a very attractive price. Now, looking into options and what we see in terms of activity today for expirations of next week, January 26th, going here to right before earnings, we're seeing a lot of implied volatility at about that 16.5 and at the $17 strike price compared to the puts. This is telling us that in the short term that a lot of investors are taking a short-term bullish perspective on Palantir in terms of options volatility. One thing that we are seeing is Nvidia is continuing to push these tech stocks to a higher high, and that Nvidia has really exploded in price. Look at its valuation in just the last 3 months. Nvidia has been a lead and a key catalyst to these AI stocks that has been trickling down into more of the speculative plays, Palantir being included, because it still is starting to grow as more of a mature company, but compared to Nvidia, compared to others of the other big blue chip stocks, is a lot smaller in terms of its actual market cap. So a lot of exciting things that are happening for Palantir. Of course, we're going to be keeping you guys updated. However, I think right now we're at some very uncertain times about what could be happening in 2024. So with these gains, I think appreciation behind them is important for PLTR. One thing that we are seeing is it's holding the 16s, even though when we've had more fear on the day, even if we've had more greed on the day, we see Palantir that's actually stabilizing at the 16s, and this is great as it builds foundational support in the mid-teens, being able to have more support levels to push that $20 level of resistance. Catch you guys later. Peace out. Take care.